All right, and we're on. Hello, everyone. Tom Tabor here, Tabor Football Podcast. Familiar face with me today, Kagan Skidmore. What's going on, Skid?
Let's go. What up? What up?
All right. Hey, not much, man. Same old, same old. So today we are going to start we're doing a little series that we're going to preview each division in the NFL this year, do an early preview before, we get into training camp. So today we are going to start with the always amazing, always entertaining AFC South. So AFC South, we got the Colts, we got the Texans, we got the Titans, and we got the Jags. So a little background on this division. So this division was formed in 2002 with the most recent alignment in the NFL, or realignment rather. So you have two expansion teams in there. So the Texans are the newest team in the NFL, of course. 2002 was their first year. And then the Jags, who were an expansion team in the mid 90s. So this division, in terms of Super Bowls, not a lot of productivity. So since this division formed in 02, the Colts are actually the only team in this division to even make it to the Super Bowl. They do have one win and one loss as a member of the AFC South. They also partook in two Super Bowls back when they were in the AFC East, or actually one when they were in the NFL back during the AFL NFL split.
Now, was that the Baltimore Colts or was that the Indianapolis still?
Yep. So the Baltimore Colts. So their first Super Bowl was Super Bowl III. One of the greatest upsets in NFL history when the Jets became the first AFL team to beat an NFL team. So that was the Colts. And then actually the first year of the merger, the Colts were the first AFC team to represent the AFC conference in the Super Bowl, where they ended up beating the Cowboys in a very ugly Super Bowl in Super Bowl V. But yeah, so basically the Colts, they throughout the course of the AFC South, they dominated this division. 9 division titles, no teams even close. The Texans, believe it or not, even though they're the newest franchise, they have more AFC South titles than the Titans and the Jags. The Jags are coming off of only their second AFC South title this past season. And then the Titans, they're there at number 3. They've kind of always been in the mix with, a couple of years here and there where they at least clinched a wild card spot. But it's been a pretty interesting division since it formed. Typically underperforms compared to some other divisions in the NFL. It's also had some decent years as well.
I think this, just looking back in years past, this conference is dominated on premier quarterback play. So if there's no quarterback play currently, in my opinion, there's not premier quarterback play in this conference. There's one premier quarterback right now. The Texans QB situation's a mess. The Titans QB situation's a mess. The Colts are trying to fix it with Anthony Richardson, but
so you think Trevor Lawrence is the premier quarterback?
I think he is the standout of this conference without a doubt. But if you look back in the years past, you had Deshaun Watson at the Texans. And this was that's first coming out whenever he was balling. For the Colts, of course, the Sheriff, Peyton Manning.
Yep. And Andrew Luck, going from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck.
Exactly. Yeah,
can't get in a better situation than that.
I think Andrew Luck, even though he didn't play that many years in the league, I think he's probably a Hall of Famer. At least he has an argument there. And I guess the Titans, it goes back to like Warren Moon and the Oilers.
I know you can't forget about Steve McNair, man.
Oh yeah, I did forget about Steve McNair.
Steve McNair, man.
Yeah, and the Jags, I can't think of any other quarterbacks for the Jags.
Well,
off the top of my head. The boat.
Yeah, Blake Bortles. Yep. So Blake Bortles, I actually think, has pretty much all the Jags single season passing records. But the greatest quarterback in Jaguar history, hands down, has to be Mark Brunell. So this goes back to their expansion years. So Mark Brunell took them to 2 AFC championships in the late 90s. Actually, you can even argue the Jags were probably the best team in the NFL in 1999. They finished 14-2 in the regular season, went to the AFC title game. So they went 14-2, ultimately lost the third game in the AFC championship. They lost to only one team that entire year. So they lost 3 times to the Titans.
Well, I'm looking up Jaguar starting QBs because I feel like I'm disrespecting the Jaguar franchise.
Well, you got Byron Leftwich. He had a couple good years. David Garrard, Blaine Gabbert,
Blaine Gabbert was the one I was thinking of.
Chad
Gardner
Henne.
Minshew,
Chad Henne
Chad
actually started
Henne.
some games
Yeah.
for him. Then Blake
Yeah,
Bortles,
you're right.
Gardner
Mark
Minshew.
Brunell, 7 years or 8 years. 8 years.
Yeah, so he was there from day one. Day one in 1995.
Yeah.
Then 96, their second year as a franchise, he took them to the AFC Championship game. That's when they upset Denver in the divisional round to get there. And then, unfortunately, I mean, New England was kind of rolling by then.
No, I feel like I kind of hit the basis of of Jaguar QB play.
Yeah,
But Trevor Lawrence, I think in a lot of polls I'm seeing he's favored to possibly win the MVP this year.
that's an interesting take there. But honestly, I mean, he did progress significantly from year two, from year one to year two. I would have liked to see a little better play in the playoffs. I did like how he handled adversity in that
I
wild
mean,
card round against the
was
Chargers.
that was his first playoff game, right?
First ever playoff game.
First
Yep.
playoff, I guess. Yeah. I mean,
Threw 3 picks in the first quarter, but then he stepped it up. He ended up throwing 4 touchdown passes
yeah.
in that Jag.
Yeah, that was a crazy game because it's like that game looked like it was over. Like it looked like they were going to get rolled.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Trevor Lawrence started at the game with was it two? I know he threw 2 pick sixes, but he might have threw 3.
Well, he threw 3 picks in just the first quarter.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were down 27-7, and then he stayed poised. He led maybe this is the beginning of the Trevor Lawrence legend, the legend of Trevor Lawrence. Maybe he's the next Joe Montana, the next Peyton Manning, the next Tom Brady in the playoffs. With these miraculous come from behind victories.
Yeah. Okay. So for the Titans, you got Jake Locker and Matt Hasselbeck. Can't forget Matt Hasselbeck.
Yep.
Vince Young.
Marcus Mariota.
Vince Young. Marcus Mariota had put in some good time there.
Terry Collins.
Yeah. Terry Collins. Warren Moon obviously is the standout.
Yep.
I didn't realize Ken Stabler played for the Titans. I didn't know that.
Well, it played for the Oilers, but yeah.
But still, you know what I mean? Still the same franchise.
Same franchise, exactly. So while we're on it, let's go back to the Jags. So let's talk about what are our predictions for the Jags this year. So Skid, I actually have the Jags winning this division. I know you have the spreadsheet that I sent you.
Yeah.
So the Jags, I have them finishing 10-7 this year. And I think they will end up ultimately winning this division. Now, looking at the Jaguar roster, man, I think their strengths are definitely, in their receivers and their backfield. So in the backfield, you have guys like, Travis Etienne and then Jermichael Hasty, who is a solid undrafted rookie with the 49ers a few years back. And he's kind of already made a name for himself as a backup in Jacksonville. They make a solid 1-2 punch. And then, of course, the receiving core, they have, Zay Jones, who balled out, especially in the postseason. And then you have Evan Engram at tight end. And then they just acquired Calvin Ridley, too.
Yeah, and I was reading earlier on ESPN. He was one of the big standouts of OTAs this year. Was that he did not skip a beat from his year-long suspension. But the Jags as a whole, they've got a good old line that no one really talks about. I mean, they're not 5 Hall of Famers by any means, but Luke Fortnier, we played against him at UK. He's the starting center, and then Cam Robinson, of course, he's suspended. Did he get suspended for gambling?
I can't remember.
PEAs or
PEDs.
PEDs. I think it was PEDs. Yeah, it was. Or he's not suspended currently, or he is suspended. They haven't given him a time yet. Okay. Anyways, they also are one of the only teams in the NFL that runs a fullback. Didn't know that. Derek Parrish. There you go. Let's go. That's awesome.
One of the few teams that still does. You got to think of their head coaches. I mean, Doug Peterson.
Yeah, that's true.
Think about that miraculous run Philly had in 2017. They used the fullback in their offense. I mean, Trey Burton. Think about the Philly special.
It's very true. Yeah, I mean, you got Christian Kirk is a stud. Of course, you already said Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones. I had Evan Ingram last year on fantasy, and he won the league for me. And like I said, T-Law is really. I think he's gearing up to have a really good year this year.
Breakout year for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
Absolutely. No, I mean just the progress alone they made from year one to year two. I
Mhm.
mean, it's because it was looking a little scary at first. I mean, sometimes all it takes is the right coach. Yeah, I mean, obviously Doug Peterson has proven himself. He has a good track record.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, I mean, those Philly teams, man. Won the Super Bowl in 2017. He could have gotten back in 2018. They almost beat the Saints in the divisional round in 2018. They were solid, and then he got them back to the
Mhm.
playoffs in 2019. Three straight actually 2018 did they I almost said three straight division titles, but they were actually a wild card in
Yeah,
2018. That's right.
that was the year of the boat, right? That's whenever they won those.
2017.
Yeah,
2017 was
that
the
was
year of the
awesome.
boat. Yep.
That was a fun playoffs.
It was. It really was, man. But yeah, I mean, I think so. Believe it or not, the Jags have never ever won back-to-back AFC South titles. Now they've won back-to-back AFC Central titles back in the day,
Yeah.
but this would be they're the only team in the AFC South that hasn't won back-to-back
Well,
AFC
they
South
I think
titles.
they are in. It's theirs if they want it. In
Yep.
my opinion, I think the Titans. I think nine. You got the Titans going 9-8. And I think that's real generous. They are a mess, man. Head to toe,
Yeah.
they are just not. They have a 150-year-old running back. It's
It depends. I mean, so you look at the way last year progressed for them. So they got off to a bumpy 0-2 start.
yeah.
Obviously that surprising loss on opening day, that was a huge like winners pool buster for
Mhm.
everyone when they lost to the Giants.
Yes.
So I fell for that, unfortunately, myself.
Well, honestly, okay, just to no one knew the Giants were going to be good last year.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, that was basically just like a play-in game, but then no one had any idea how good the Giants were going to be. I mean,
That is a very good point. They were definitely one of the surprise teams last year. But I mean, the Titans, so they started off 0-2, but then skid. They ended up getting to a 7-3 record. They're way ahead of everyone else in the AFC South. Everyone else has a losing record. The Texans were long gone. They were done for. The
yeah,
Colts had just fired Frank Reich mid-season, and the Jags, they were looking at like 4-7 or 3-7 at one
yeah.
point. So it
I know when they because I mean we pulled up to be 100%, but they played the Packers. I get confused
so
when they
that was their
played.
last win of the season when they played the
Yeah,
Packers.
and
I
that's what
remember.
they were running. I mean, they were moving for sure.
But then they were played. This was a team that was plagued by injury. I mean, especially
Mhm.
it all starts. They all say it all starts with the quarterback position. Ryan Tannehill went down, and you're having to start Malik Willis and then Josh Dobbs. For the remainder of the season. So after starting 7-3, they ultimately finished
Yeah,
7-10. They ended up losing out, and I mean, I guess my big concern for the Titans is so you look at what they've done like in recent memory, like when Vrabel first got there, they always had a winning season until this past year.
yeah,
Vrabel has the back-to-back division titles. He has the AFC Championship appearance in 2019. But Skid, I mean, the offense used to look a lot different when Vrabel first got there. You had AJ Brown. You had two stud tight ends in Delaney Walker and Jonnu Smith. And then you also had Corey Davis, who was the perfect complement to
yeah.
AJ Brown. And then, of course, this is Derrick Henry's heyday. And then you have a stud left tackle in Taylor Lewan. You
Yes,
have a
yeah,
you have,
they had. I think they had a top five O line at the time.
mhm.
I just don't understand some of their moves. Like, it's pretty notorious that running backs do not have a high shelf life in the NFL. That's
Mhm.
just it's a hard position to play. Why they've held on to Derrick Henry as long as they had, but then let AJ Brown go,
Yep.
a premier receiver.
Look
It
what he
makes
just did
no
in Philly.
sense. And it's I'm saying he is an absolute beast. And really, I think where what they're really missing out on is when they're drafting, they have not drafted QBs well.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, Malik Willis is. I'm not ready to call him a bust yet, but
Well, do you think he's even going to have a chance in the mix with
no,
Will Levis and Ryan
no.
Tannehill?
But then I was just reading that Will Levis was having like a horrible start to camp and or start to OTAs, and
OTAs. Yep.
yeah, I heard it was awful. Yeah, so I'm looking at this schedule from last year, Tom, and yes, they started 0-2. They lost to a really good Giants team. They lost to a really good Bills team, but then they go on
They
a
got
tear.
annihilated by that Bills
Yeah,
team, by the way.
yes, but like these wins, these were tic tac wins. I mean, The Raiders were a mess. The Colts were obviously. I think that was week 4. So Frank Reich got fired.
Yeah, Frank Reich was still there by week 4, but yeah, I mean the Colts.
Well, they play the Colts. They play the Commanders. Trash. They play the Colts again because the NFL scheduling makes no sense. Then they play the Texans. I mean, those are your wins if you want them. Then they lose in overtime to Kansas City. So everybody's like, okay, this team can play.
Mm-hmm.
Then they beat a Denver Broncos team that's awful. Then you beat a Green Bay Packers team, and that was I think that when you look at the score, that was a close game. It's just I think they got out hot. Yeah, no.
And that was when the Packers were cold too, because they didn't heat up till the end of the season.
No, they were not good at that point. We should have lost that game. But then you're exactly right, man. They went on. They lost
literally every single game. Yep.
Or 7 in a row,
including a loss to the Texans.
But then once again, they lose to the Bengals, a really good team. They lose to the Eagles, obviously very good.
They got blown out by Philly. Yep.
Yeah, they lost to Jags. They lost to the Chargers. They lost to They lost to Houston, which was a awful, horrendous loss.
They got swept by the Jags, by the way.
Yes, because they lost him again in the last game of the year, and they lost the Cowboys. Which the Cowboys, that's one of those teams that they're always going to be good until postseason.
Yep. No, exactly. So like who's left for big weapons on the Titans? So I mean, this year in free agency, I do like one of their signings. They got Azeez Al-Shire, from the 49ers. Now Azeez is a guy that I personally thought in 2021 he was the best linebacker on the roster in 2021.
Yeah.
Well, just in terms of their actual performance in 2021.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you look at the roster, it's like, okay, Fred Warner is obviously the best, and then Dre Greenlaw. But in 2021, Dre Greenlaw missed most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So Azeez actually had to fill in for Dre, and Azeez balled out that year. I thought for sure Azeez was actually going to start over Dre Greenlaw going into camp this past season. But if you watch Azeez and Dre Greenlaw play, those two are identical in the way they play. Like, you can't even tell the two apart. So I think that's a great pickup for the Titans. Me being a 49er fan, I'm definitely going to miss having Azeez, but that is a great pickup for them. And then they also got Arden Key. He's not quite a replacement for Bud Dupree, but keep in mind, Bud Dupree kind of lacked productivity.
He was not a good football player when he left the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. Because there was definitely a lack of production there with Bud Dupree last year. So I think if you're looking at the way Bud Dupree played last year, I think Arden Key will be an upgrade. Now, Arden Key had a breakout year. So he was an early round pick by the Raiders when he first started his career. Didn't go well with the Raiders, but then, Chris Kasarik revived Arden Key's career in San Francisco in 2021. Key gets a nice contract with the Jaguars. He balled out in Jacksonville last year, and it allowed him to get yet another nice contract with the Titans. Now, I think he's going to have more productivity than, we saw from Bud Dupree this past season. And then, of course, you can't forget on the interior, you have Jeffrey Simmons, who I think is one of the premier.
He's top 5, 100%, maybe top 3, honestly.
Yep.
We got the debating this the other day at football. It's Jeffrey Simmons is a dog. Well, on this defense, you got Jeffrey Simmons and you got Kevin Byner. That's like your true.
Those are your stars. Those are your Pro Bowlers.
You can you might be able to put a thing in for put like a word in for maybe Amani Hooker sometimes, but really it's Kevin Byner and Jeffrey Simmons are your dogs on defense. Now, where it gets weird is the offense, man. I mean,
your best receiver is
Traylon Burks. He's a sophomore.
Yep.
Like I got to read and I saw a post that they're ranking the wide receiver rooms, and they are actually 32nd in the NFL in wide receiving.
That is no surprise.
Like I said, they've got Traylon Burks is a dog. He can play. I don't know who Cal Phillips is, and I don't know. I can't even Nick Westbrook. I can't even say the rest of his name. He's not anything impressionable.
He didn't produce much last year. I do remember he got a little time down the stretch. Yeah, Skid, we're talking about you used to have A.J. Brown. You used to have Corey Davis. You used to have Delaney Walker. You used to have Jonnu Smith. they did not upgrade at that position.
No,
last year
it's really screaming rebuild for me right now.
Mhm.
And I think they would have probably, if they could have shopped him, which I believe they did. Did they not shop
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry? I thought they tried to, or
Yeah,
maybe they
'cause I
talked
was
about it.
I was definitely a little surprised to still see him on the roster because I
Yeah,
thought they did add him to the trade block, but
I
yeah,
mean,
maybe just they were just looking for more. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's so I had them finishing 9-8 because I still wanted to put some respect on this defense, because I think they do have some solid players on the defense. I think if
well,
Derrick Henry,
it's still Mike Vrabel as well. I mean,
yes, and you got to respect Vrabel. I mean, he's proven himself. He has a excellent track record as a head coach. He's gotten to that Titans team to the postseason. Got them there 3 years in a row. Now, the last coach to get the Titans to the postseason 3 years in a row, I mean, that was Jeff Fisher.
yeah.
And actually,
Well,
hold on. Actually, you know what? Fisher might not. No, hold on. So you got them there in 99. They got them there in 99 and 2000, but they missed 01. Got them there in 02 and 03. You know what? Jeff Fisher actually never got them there 3 years in a row.
So they, oh, okay.
So Vrabel's the only one.
I guess another notable person they added on their O line was Peter Skoronski, the Northwestern guard, the guy that ran like a 4.5 40 at the combine.
Yep. They also got Daniel Brunskill too.
Yeah, Brunskill's from the Niners, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Brunskill's a guy that can play all 5 positions.
This is why I will agree with your 9-8, is because at any point in time, Derrick Henry could decide, you know what, I think I'm going to play football today.
I'm going to run for 2,000 yards.
You know what I'm saying? Like everyone keeps, I think he was out of his shelf life 4 years ago, like based on the number. You know what I mean? But like, obviously, he's had some pretty good seasons the last couple of years. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
and then,
I could see 9-8.
And then you know what? I will say this about, Ryan Tannehill. He's not going to turn the ball over that much. He's a solid. I hate using the term game manager, but
he is.
He is.
Yeah. He's a Kirk Cousins. Yes, that's a better term. You say he's Kirk Cousins.
He's Kirk Cousins.
So okay, let's go down. We'll go down to the. We'll go game by game on the Titans.
So you're going over my list that I sent you?
Yeah, your list jumbled up on Google Docs, so I'm just going to go on the Titans schedule, and I can see it from there. It's weird.
Hold on, I got you right here. All right, so I got them actually starting the season out with a loss to New Orleans. Now, New Orleans, they're going to be a question mark this year.
I think they're potentially could be a surprise team.
Yeah,
I could see that 100%. Chris Olave is a dog. I wish the Packers would draft him, but they didn't.
Then a little bit of an upgrade at quarterback, a little bit of an upgrade with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen Jameis get. I know he was battling injuries last year, and then I know they pretty much finished out the year with Andy Dalton, and Jameis was, when he was healthy, he was a backup. I'm still a guy that I believe in Jameis. I've seen the potential. I think he can play. It's just the inconsistency.
Yeah, he last year, it wasn't last year. We lost to was it last year we lost to the Saints, the Packers?
A couple years.
No, it was 2020. 2020 we came out and no, it wasn't Drew Brees. It was Jameis Winston threw for 450 yards on us.
Oh, so that would have been 2021.
2021.
Yep.
And that was the year we were supposed to be. That was when we lost the NFC Championship. Supposed to be really, really good, and got beat out by a really shitty 49ers team.
It was a Niner team that squeaked their way into the playoffs. Yeah, so I have them losing to New Orleans. Then I have them going on winning 2 in a row. I have them beating the Chargers and then the Browns. Then I have them losing to Cincinnati. I have them beating the Colts. I have them losing to Baltimore, beating Atlanta, beating the Steelers, beating the Bucks. I have them losing to Jacksonville in the first meeting. I have them beating Carolina. I have them losing the second time around to Indy. I have them losing to Miami. I have them beating the Texans and then losing when they're at Houston. I have them losing to Seattle, and then I have them actually beating the Jags in the season finale. In the season finale, I have them finishing 9-8.
I got you. So I guess I'll go down the list right here. So let me write this down. So let's see, Titans, Saints. I will. I'll agree with you there. That we'll chalk that one up for a loss.
The Charger one was definitely
Chargers.
tough.
Man,
it depends which
Which
Charger team
you're
shows
exactly
up that
right.
day. Yep.
You're exactly. I mean,
the Brandon Staley era has been filled with inconsistency.
I'm going to go 0-2. They're going to lose to the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers are coming out hot. I think they're going to beat the Browns. That is a we'll get to that. They're losing to the Bengals for sure. I mean, that's not even a game realistically I feel like they could squeak out.
Yep.
Titans, Colts. I could see them losing or winning or beating the Colts first time around for sure.
Yep.
So 3-2. The Falcons, man. Call me crazy.
I think the Falcons are going to beat them. The Falcons need to figure out their quarterback situation.
Yeah.
I mean, if Desmond Ritter's their starting quarterback, I think
you're right. Yeah, 2-4, or 3-3 right now. So then,
I think you skipped one. Baltimore.
Oh yeah, never mind. Just kidding. 3-4. They're not. I think Baltimore is a Super
Bowl.
Baltimore's
going to be a contender this year
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 3-4 right now. So let's go Pittsburgh. I think they're losing to Pittsburgh and going 3-5.
I think Pittsburgh's going to be better this year, without a doubt.
Oh, for sure. I think Kenny Pickett, once he gets Kenny Pickett rolling, and they got who's the receiver they drafted?
George Pickens.
Well, yeah, of course, George Pickens. They drafted the Tennessee guy, didn't they? Didn't they get the Tennessee receiver, Jalen Hyatt?
Oh, is that where he ended up?
I think he.
Oh, they're fine then. Oh my.
They said Steelers are going to be good, and they got that tackle too, first round. Okay, so we're 3-5 right now. They are going to beat the Bucks and go to 4-5.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are going to fall off this year.
Yeah. Well, did you watch that video of the QB?
Yep. Baker and then was it Kyle Trask?
Yeah. Kyle Trask, man. Oh, they were just trying to throw like 2-yard out routes, so we're sailing it over top of their heads. Like,
that was tough, man.
So they're going to get up to 4-6 against the Jags. The Panthers are going to be another shocker team, man. I got them going 4-7.
I think the Panthers will be better this year too.
Yeah.
I just have the Titans having a surprising win against the Panthers.
Man, that's just one of those teams. The Panthers are hard. Where's that at?
That is home.
It's at it's at Nissan Stadium. Yep. I will go.
That's why I choose the Titans, because I was.
I'll go 5-6 at home. I'm with you with there. Colts, Titans. I think they're going to beat the Colts twice. I think that's a.
I think they're to sweep them.
I think they got their number right now.
I do have the Colts finishing last, by the way, in the AFC South this year.
Yeah, I could see that. We'll get to that for sure. 6-7. They were going to lose to the Dolphins. They're 7-7. They're beating the Titans or the Texans. I mean, shit. I just clicked off of this.
And then Seattle would be the next one.
Oh yeah. So I think Seattle's another.
Seattle's going to be scary in the West.
They're going to be.
They're going to be a contender. Yeah. They're going to give the Niners a tough time.
I think I hate to tell you, Tom, but I might pick the Seahawks over the Niners to win that division.
It's understandable.
It's just it sucks, but they're pretty damn good. They got a quarterback.
They're scary, and they had a hell of an offseason, man.
That's okay. Let's stay on this. We're gonna have a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah, stay in AFC South.
All right, so I was at Seattle. They're gonna sweep the Texans. I feel like.
Gotcha.
8-8. And
they will be swept by the Jags?
I think so. I think 8-9 is more realistic.
Yep.
Now what I will say is some of these games we can go back and forth with. The Dolphins are very streaky.
Mm-hmm.
You can get in and they could score 50 points on you, or they could just lay an egg. And who knows to his health how actually good he is this year.
They had weird stretches last year. It's like, okay, they'll win 5 in a row, but then they'll drop their next 4.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whenever we beat them down there in Miami, that was the start of our playoff rise or potential playoff rise.
And that was the start of Miami's collapse until they squeaked out a playoff berth in the end.
And I think that Tua might have played that game too
against Green Bay.
Yeah,
he did. He played the whole game.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That
he played with a concussion.
That's what I'm saying. Like it could have easily went. They could have easily came out and threw for 1,000 yards on us. You know what I mean? So, but I think 8-9 or 9 or 8. I think it's pretty fair for both of those. I think like I said, the Dolphins game could squeak out. Panthers Titans could go either way though. Keep that in mind. And I think the Titans Jags. You know, especially like I said, I picked Trevor Lawrence to have a breakout year this year, but he's still a young quarterback. So he could. I mean, obviously, we saw in the playoffs he's opened up the first quarter with three picks. You know, there are 3 picks. So it's like it could easily. That's a question mark game. And here's the thing about Tannehill: he is a Kirk Cousins, and the thing about Kirk Cousins though is he wins games. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions because he doesn't really throw the ball that much. But like when we played the Titans, we tried to make it. You know, we shut down Derrick Henry, and we're like Tannehill beat us, and he did.
But Tannehill can also beat you with his legs. That's something Kirk Cousins can't beat you.
That's very true. And he also, I think Tannehill had like a 42-yard run against us in a scramble.
Yep.
We don't have to talk about it, okay?
So I just realized we forgot to go over the Jags schedule. We already covered the Jags.
Did we cover? We already covered the Jags.
We covered the Jags, but we didn't go over the schedule. I just said that they were going to finish 10-7. You think they're going to finish 13-4?
Yeah. Let me. We don't have to go the full breakdown like we just did. Let me.
Just do a quick rundown.
Yeah, let me look at their schedule and I'll tell you why I think they're going to be 13-4. All right, so we got preseason games, don't matter. I think they're going to open up with a win against the Colts.
I had the same. It's going to be a dogfight.
They're going to lose to the Chiefs, but it's going to be a good game. They're going to beat the Texans. I think they'll handily beat the Falcons. I think the Jags are going to beat the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Call me crazy. And once again, I could be. The Bills are a mess. Well, you know, Stephon Diggs just now showed up to mandatory training.
I think the Bills are going to take a step back this year.
I think you're exactly right.
I think they'll still be a contender, but I definitely think they're taking a step back.
It's the curse of the Madden cover, man. Josh Allen. I think they're going to sweep the Colts. So that's the first one against the Colts. I think Jags are going to beat the Saints. Steelers Jags is going to be a good game.
Yep, I got them beating Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I got them beating Pittsburgh. I got them losing to the Niners.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Where is that at? Is that at?
It's at Jacksonville.
Oh, that's a long way to travel.
Hey, the Niners won in Jacksonville 2 years ago. Yeah. Granted, Urban Meyer was their head coach.
Yeah, like I said, I got them sweep the Titans. They're going to sweep the Texans. They're going to lose to the Bengals. Who did they lose to in the playoffs?
They lost
the
to
Bengals. Chiefs. They lost to the Chiefs. Okay, mm-hmm. Yeah. They would have played the Bengals. No, they would. I guess for the
AFC Championship
they would have. Okay.
So one thing to address with the Titans and Jags. I mean, we already briefly touched on the head coaches. So obviously, those are your experienced head coaches. Those guys have a proven track record, especially in the postseason. Now, when we jump into the other teams, these are 2 rookie head coaches that we're talking about with these other teams. So I'll let you finish with you were still going through the schedule. So you certain of that 13-4 record?
Yeah. So let me finish this up. So I got they're gonna lose to the Niners, like I said. They're gonna sweep the Titans, sweep the Texans. They're gonna lose the Bengals. They're gonna beat the Browns. They're gonna lose the Ravens. They're gonna beat the Bucks, and they're gonna drop to the Panthers in a surprise loss.
I can see it.
And then they're gonna beat the Jags, and I think that puts them. Yeah, 13-4.
13-4.
So I think that's a very high possibility. They win the AFC South, puts them in. Depending on how everyone else goes, like they could be fighting for a number one
seed.
Number one seed in the AFC, in a very, very strong AFC.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean the AFC definitely has more contenders than it has. I mean, let's be real, man. In years past, it's just the Patriots. Like,
yeah, that's really been it. You're exactly right. I mean,
so the AFC it's nice now that it's wide open. It's like you have a contender in Kansas City, you have a contender in Cincinnati, you have a contender in the Bills. Now you have a contender in the Jags. And then in recent years, we had a contender with the Titans.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the AFC has definitely been interesting the past few years.
I think the last thing I'll say on the Titans, and we'll move on to the two rookie coaches.
Yep.
The last thing I'll say about the Titans before we move on is that team will go as far as Derrick Henry feels like playing. That's
a good point.
If he feels like going out there and acting like a school bus, like there's not anything anybody's going to do, and they're going to run all over everybody. Now, if he decides that I'm old and I'm tired, then they're going to go 4-13. Like
that might be a little extreme. Maybe 7-10. I don't
know. Not in this conference. They're going to win at least 7 games. 100%.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, now the Houston Texans. So the Texans, obviously 2002 was their first year, expansion team. Had some struggles until about 2011. You know, those are the Matt Schaub, Gary Kubiak years.
Yeah.
2011, 2012, they have their first division titles. 2012, they were actually a Super Bowl contender, but they ended up losing in the divisional round. Had the Bill O'Brien years. Bill O'Brien, you know, they would consistently at least make it to the wild card round. Had a few division titles with Bill O'Brien. Now, 2019 was definitely the peak for Texans fans. So 2019, you're in the divisional round. You're up 24-0 against KC. It's looking like the Texans are going to their first AFC title game. So the Texans are the only team in the NFL that have never played in a conference championship game.
Wow.
But, yeah, they blew a 24-0 lead to the Chiefs. Chiefs went on to beat the Titans in the AFC championship that year. So now the Texans, you know, their expansion years were tough. But honestly, Skid, I think these past 3 seasons have been the worst seasons the Texans have ever had.
Did you watch any Texans games last year?
Oh, yeah.
This is what I'll say about the Texans, man.
They have a lot of fight.
I think that their games and the scores don't reflect each other.
Mm-hmm.
They play fucking hard.
They do.
Like, and it's what did they finish last year?
I think they went 3 and 14.
Yeah. So I mean, that I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, like probably half of those games they lost by 1 touchdown.
There were a lot of close ones.
They were in a lot of those games. They got blew out a lot too. But like, so you got to think. But they got like a Island of Misfit Toys football roster right now. I mean, there was a point in time that Danny Woodhead was their starting running back.
No, Rex Burkhead.
Or Rex Burkhead.
Yep.
Danny Woodhead. Woodhead played for the Patriots, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. No, there was a point in time that Rex Burkhead was a starting running back for the Titans or the Texans.
Yes. Well, Dameon Pierce was a phenomenal. He had a phenomenal rookie
year.
Oh
my gosh,
he got injured. He got injured at the end, but
absolute stud, man.
I think
he was on pace to win offensive rookie of the year.
Yep. No,
and he would. I think he would have won it. I think he would have, because who won offensive rookie of the year?
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson won it, yeah. And I think that Dameon Pierce was having a 10 times better season. Should have been Christian Watson. But anyways, we'll have to go there. Let all the rookies in touchdowns. Anyways, let's so Texans open up with they have a very tough schedule. Just looking down through here. They're going to drop to the Ravens. Man, that Colts-Texans game is going to be like the Super Bowl, dude. So that's going to be a barn burner. And that could be possibly Richardson's first starting game as a Colt.
You think Richardson's going to be the week 1 start? We can get into that when we talk about
that. I'm not 100% sure about that. Give me when we get to the Colts, I'll think about it. So I got the Texans beat the Colts. Yeah, first game. They're going to lose to Jacksonville. It don't matter. They don't have home field advantage in Houston. They're going to drop the Steelers.
I have them beating the Falcons.
I could definitely see the Falcons are in shambles. I think the Texans are. I'm telling you, they're going to be better than they were last year. They're not going to be a premier team, but they're going to be better. So I got to beat the Falcons. I like that. I like them beating the Saints. Be honest with you.
I might call you a little crazy there.
Well, they're coming off that high win from the Falcons, and maybe they just start rolling. No, they're going to lose the Saints. They're going to lose the Saints. The Panthers are really good.
I got them losing to Carolina. I even have them losing to Tampa Bay, man.
No, I got them. There's no way. I will not pick. When we get to that conference, I might pick Tampa not to win a game. Because after I saw that quick
Come
QB,
on.
that's the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, I can't get down with that, man. I got to beat the Bucks. I got to lose to the Bengals. I got to beat the Cardinals. Actually, the Cardinals are.
I do have them beating the Cardinals.
The Cardinals could end up being the worst team in the NFL next year. They're going to get swept by the Jags.
I believe that could be the case.
They're gonna lose to the Broncos.
I actually had them beating the Broncos.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know, man. That it's Sean Payton's first year at the Broncos, and he's one of the best coaches ever. So
Well, hey,
as much as I don't like him, but
his first year with the Saints took him to the NFC title game.
I mean, he could easily. They have the roster to do so.
Yeah,
they really do. They have a roster to be good. So I got them beating better than the Texans.
They have a top-tier defense.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think they got a top 3 defense in the NFL, and that's a hot take.
Absolutely, but, I couldn't agree more.
They're going to lose the Jets. The Jets are good. They're going to be really good. Obviously, unfortunately, they're going to lose to the Titans. They're going to beat the Browns.
I had them losing to Cleveland there.
They're going to lose to Titans.
I actually had them beating the Titans that week.
Oh, that was your squeaker game. I think I've got them. I think I'm 5-12. The same.
Yep, I had them at 5-12.
Just different losses.
Yep.
Or different wins. I mean, yeah. I'm 5-12 still.
Exactly.
So I think that's fair. I think that they're going to be better than they're definitely 2 games better than last year. I think so.
Actually, they might have been 2-15. They tied last year. So I think they were.
Oh, that's right.
Were they 2-14-1? So I think either way, I think they're going to be better than last year.
Let's see who they. I don't even know who they drafted this year. So let's look at that.
So C.J. Stroud.
Oh yeah. Hold on a second. They could be better. I forgot they picked C.J. Stroud, and they got Will Anderson. Man.
Yep. I thought the Texans had the best first round.
Yeah.
Of any
other
team
than the Eagles.
Oh my God! Yes. Wow. How did that happen? Oh.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they're going to be better. Do I think they're going to be absolutely they're not going to be? I don't think they're going to have a winning record, but they're going to be good.
They will be better, and I will say, I do like the D'Amico Ryans hire. Now, obviously, I'm a huge D'Amico Ryans fan. Being his 2 seasons as the D coordinator for the Niners, having the best defense in the NFL this past year. But I like the energy he brings, and I think they do have some additions this year that can make a difference for this team. Jimmy Ward, who I would argue is their best free agent pickup this year. You can argue and say Dalton Schultz is, but I think Jimmy Ward, he's going to bring a different mentality to this defense. I actually think the secondary is going to be a strength for them this year, and I think Jimmy Ward is a big part of that. Now they also have Derek Stingley, who was drafted pretty high last year. I think he's going to have a breakout year this year. And then Kadar Holman, another guy. Kadar came from Green Bay, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he was at Green Bay at one point. He's already familiar with D'Amico Ryans' system.
Well, D'Amico Ryans is also an Alabama guy. He played at Alabama in 2005. Mm-hmm. So you got John Mechie, Christian Harris are already both Bama players. Then you add Will Anderson to that. I think Will Anderson is the kind of guy he's gonna come out running, kind of like Aiden Hutchinson for the Lions.
Oh yeah.
I think he's gonna come out hunting.
And then they also got Jerry Hughes too. He was a productive pass rusher back with the Bills.
Yes.
And then Hassan Ridgeway, so you add more depth in the D line. They also have Sheldon Rankins. I think the strength of their defense is going to be their D line and their secondary. Now,
their secondary. Well, they just lost Jared Reed. Is Jared Reed? The Packers just got him. I don't remember his name. Mm-hmm. He's good. I know that, and I was pretty hyped about it. That's their safety. There was a starting safety last year. Jared Reed.
You have Shaquille Griffin too.
I'm going to have to look this up. It's going to bother me. Yeah, Jared Reed.
Yep. Hold on one second. Bree, can you turn the light on? I've been sitting in darkness the last like 20 minutes.
You're just gonna do a night stream, Todd.
Yep. I'm back.
Yeah. So I think 5-12. 5-12 is still good, even with all that. I think it's hard to have a rookie quarterback come out and blow the top off the NFL.
It is,
especially without any kind of productive receiving core.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I got to take this phone call. Can we pause this real quick, Tom?
Well, we can't pause it. We gotta keep rolling. But I mean, I can keep
It'll be
talking.
okay. It'll be okay. So yeah, we're almost done anyway. So I'll call him back. It'll be fine.
We are almost done. We just got to talk about the Colts, and then
all
we
right,
pretty much wrap this up.
Yeah, I think 5-12 is solid. I mean,
yeah, 5-12. And then I have the Colts jumping into the Colts, another rookie head coach situation with Shane Steichen coming over from Philly. I got the Colts finishing 4-13. Now, the Colts downfall is just an interesting one, and it's just like I didn't see this coming. I mean, so when Frank Reich gets there, so you have a solid season in 2018. They get to the divisional round. Obviously, they lose to a powerhouse in Kansas City, but it looks like the Colts are there. It looks like they're a contender. They have the right quarterback in Andrew Luck. Obviously, the surprise retirement. 2019, they actually came out guns blazing. They had a good start with Jacoby Brissett. Brissett battled some injuries. They fell off towards the end of the year. But hey, 2020, they're back in it. They're in the postseason. Phillip Rivers has a decent year. I'm not going to decent. He actually had a good year.
He had a good year. He did, yeah.
He had a good year. Barely lost in the wild card round to the Bills. You can argue and say that if the Colts won that game, they would have gone to the AFC title game that year. Now, I don't think they would have gotten by the Chiefs, but they definitely looked like they were going to be a contender for years to come. Phillip Rivers retires. It's like, okay, well, you got Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, at that point in time, he was a
gunslinger. Yeah, absolutely.
He
Everyone thought he was the answer for their quarterback issues, and he was not. But
yeah, so 2021, I mean, they got off to a rough start, but they were one of the hotter teams at the end of the season. And, Jonathan Taylor went off. And I thought if the Colts made it to the playoffs that year, I thought they were going to make a run. I thought they were the hottest team in the AFC going into the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, obviously that surprise loss to Jacksonville to finish out that season. That's the reason they didn't make it to the postseason. So then the Bengals ended up being that surprise team to make that run all the way to the Super Bowl that year.
Because the Bengals were out of the playoff contention, weren't they? And they had to have the Colts loss.
No, they locked up their division. So that was the year the Bengals won the North, but then the Steelers were the team that squeaked in.
That's what, yeah, okay.
And then the Raiders ended up getting in with that crazy overtime win against the Chargers, where if they had just tied, both the Raiders and Chargers would have made it to the postseason. But yeah, so with the Colts, and then you got Matt Ryan coming in last year. It looked like, okay, it's like now you finally have the right quarterback in place, and man, did they fall off. You lose Frank Reich mid-season. Jeff Saturday comes in as an interim head coach and only wins one game. And, you look at some of these losses. I mean, they lose to the Texans on the last play of the game. They blew a 30-0 lead against the Vikings. It's like, what is going on here? So, yeah, I mean, the Colts really fell off, and I honestly have them finishing last in this division this year. I have them finishing 4-13. I think it's going to be a tough start for Shane Steichen, and then you have a rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson this year too.
I think the Colts made a huge mistake not drafting Will Levis over Anthony Richardson. I'll be honest with you. I think Anthony Richardson's not going to be good.
I don't know if I have a lot of faith in Levis, though.
No, that's not either one of them, honestly. But I think now we could be sitting here in a year from now and looking like idiots talking.
Hopefully we are, man. I wish nothing but the best for these guys. I really hope they do.
Well, going down the list, this offense, which is plagued with injuries. Like, Jonathan Taylor went down into last year.
Yep.
And Michael Pittman Jr., I think he was out for most of the season, in and out with injuries.
Even Quentin Nelson was injured too. Yeah. That's the best. I think Quentin Nelson's the best guard in the NFL.
Yeah, he definitely is. And he was, like I said, I think he missed 4 or 5 games. Then their tight end is Jelani Woods. He's actually really good. But another guy that was injured for a lot of the season.
They still do have Mo Alley Cox. I think Mo Alley Cox is a guy that does have a lot of productivity at that position as well.
Yeah, that's very true.
I do think this year that their strength will be their receivers. I mean, you do have Michael Pittman Jr. You got some more speed this year with Isaiah McKenzie, and then who's the other one?
Alec Pierce and Josh Downs.
And do they still have who is it? Zach Pascal?
They do not have Pascal anymore. They do have Rashad Perryman, which didn't know he was still in the NFL.
Yep. So that's a little more speed there too. And then, they also had that trade last year where when Taylor went down, they got Zach Moss, who's an explosive guy who was with the Bills for quite some time.
I think they've got a long way to go for sure. And now defensively, they got a solid defense.
Yep.
I would venture to say they have
DeForest Buckner, man.
DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart,
Shaq Leonard.
Shaq Leonard. If he's another guy that got hurt, and I don't think he played half the season with injuries.
And Samson Ebukam is going to be an addition to the D line. Now Ebukam. So with San Francisco, he wasn't really a productive pass rusher, but man, he's a hell of a run stopper, though.
Yeah, which I think they run.
That's the guy that can really set the edge.
They run a traditional 4-3, don't they?
Yes, they do.
So I mean that D end is a run heavy anyway. So then at the back end, Rodney Thomas is still really good at safety. Julian Blackman at free safety is he comes down screaming on these tackles. And they got a solid secondary, I'd say. I don't know if it's like none of those guys are outstanding, but
they do enough to get the
they're
job
solid.
done.
Yeah, I think
they did end up losing Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, their front seven is going to be where they shine for sure.
Absolutely, and I think DeForest Buckner will find himself back in the Pro Bowl. Honestly, I think this could be a breakout year for Samson Ebukam. He was ready to break out in San Francisco. I think this is his opportunity this year.
I can definitely see that for sure.
But I mean,
they still have Rigoberto Sanchez too at the kicking spot, the worst kicker in the NFL.
Man, I liked when I thought Rodrigo Blankenship was going to be their long-term kicker. Man,
he was awful.
He looked like he had a lot of promise initially. But I mean, the Colts were blessed to have Adam Vinatieri for 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
One of the best kickers in NFL history. He was the last member of the Colts to be a part of that Super Bowl team, Super Bowl 41 champions back in 2006.
Yeah, look at the Colts record or the Colts schedule this year. I don't have them winning anything crazy.
I got them going 4-13. It's gonna be a struggle. I think they are very much in a rebuild now. I think we're looking at very early on, I almost said Chuck Pagano days, but basically the end of the Jim Caldwell days is what I'll call it. Because actually Chuck Pagano did end up having success right away. Because the year they drafted Andrew Luck, they actually ended up going to the postseason.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a similar fall to that. I think it's going to take a couple of years to get back. I'm very curious to see how Anthony Richardson does this year.
They have a lot of holes to fill that they did not in the draft. So I don't know what their plan is, but yeah, they're not looking too good. It's bad whenever they could easily be the worst team in the NFL this year.
I got either them or the Cardinals for sure.
I think the Texans will be all right this year. I do. I think
the Texans they'll be better.
I think 5-12 might be
too low.
We might be too low. I'm thinking maybe like
7-10,
man.
6-11,
I can see 7-10. I can see 7-10, and I can see them squeaking into the second spot past the Titans.
I think it could. So I think the Texans, they're definitely trending upward. I think they're going in the right direction. You're right. I think we could see them in the next couple of years surpass the Titans.
Yeah. I think the Titans are digressing.
They're definitely regressing. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be. So I want to say the Jags will take this division for the next. This will be the first time they win back-to-back AFC South titles. I believe that they will. I think they could finally start to have more consistency. Because we thought after 2017 that they're going to roll this division for years to come.
Yes.
They were a one-hit wonder. They fell off right away in 2018. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. I think this is going to be back to like the expansion years. The Mark Brunell days when the Jags were rolling through their division.
I think
they can go back to that.
I think they could easily do that. I don't see anybody being competitive in this division for at least 2 years.
Yep.
I think they could win 4 in a row, and that's really generous.
Exactly. But now, will the Jags make a push to the Super Bowl? I think the AFC is too loaded this year. I don't
They
see
would
them
have
getting
to. If they got out of the AFC, they're winning the Super Bowl. That is just my opinion. I think if they were now, I'm not saying that like the NFC is garbage, but if they were able to get through the AFC and win out, like beat the Chiefs, beat the Bengals, whoever, like
we have more contenders in the AFC. I mean, the NFC. Yeah. I guess right now you can say from the outside looking in the NFC, you're probably looking at the Niners, you're looking at the Eagles, you're looking at the Cowboys.
That's about it.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's not very good this year.
I don't.
Seahawks, maybe.
Maybe.
But NFC. Well, what the difference between NFC teams and AFC teams? I feel like AFC is more finesse and speed, and
NFC is more old school.
The NFC is real old school, like run the ball, and
that's what the Niners and Philly do.
Yeah, I mean, and they got great success with it as well. Now, the other team we're not talking about, and I hate to bring it up, but is the freaking Dan Campbell Lions, man. They have a chance.
They're a sleeper this year for sure. We'll get to the NFC North in one of these segments, but
don't sleep on the Packers. That's all I got to say. Everybody keep doubting us.
Oh yeah. Well, hey Skid, that pretty much wraps up this episode. AFC South fun stuff. We'll probably, I don't know, once we get Scott on here, what do we want to do next? AFC West?
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's roll with the AFC. Get it
roll the whole AFC, and then we'll jump into the NFC. So we'll do AFC West next time we're on here. But this is the Tabor Football Podcast, signing off. I froze. I have not hit stop recording yet.